Well, Garrison, there's a lot of news that's happened here since Thursday. But first off, how you doing? I know the winter storm kind of came through here. Did you guys get anything up north? I don't think you did, but here in Columbus, we got a good
Yeah.
5 inches at my door here.
No, like a few days ago we did over the weekend, but today it's been pretty clear, man. It looks like it got pretty bad over there. I was looking at the radar.
Yeah, Southern Ohio got hit a little bit more
Mhm.
than what we did. Uh, I was telling some friends like, I wish the Cotton Bowl was here at the shoe today. Texas wouldn't know what was going to hit them. It's
That's been
wind
nice.
chill in the single digits, snow
Mhm.
out there. They wouldn't know what to do.
Most definitely.
So that was nice. But there's been a few pieces of news since we last spoke here on Thursday, um, and a lot of it has to do within the transfer portal.
Yes.
So Ohio State, a lot of in and out going from the transfer portal.
Mhm.
First off, sounds like Fitzpatrick is going to be leaving for the transfer portal. Offensive lineman. Didn't really play a whole lot. He kind of
Mhm.
got passed over for the left tackle spot by Zen Mikulski. And then even when he went
Yeah.
down, he still wasn't chosen to replace him. Ended up Donovan Jackson swinging out there.
Mhm.
So he leaves after some seasons here with the Buckeyes. What do you make of him deciding to enter the transfer portal?
Um, I'm not surprised. And for most transfers, I'm not surprised. I kind of see it from their angle a little bit. Again, does it hurt the Ohio State depth? Yes. At the same time, was he a factor in the depth chart? Clearly, he really wasn't.
Yeah.
We brought in two transfers already that are going to play right away. Um, from the looks of it, the guard spot is already taken up, and looks like center is too. It looks like Ohio State already has their offensive line for next year. It truly does look that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this wasn't a shock. I mean, to your point, it does hurt the
Mhm.
depth, which, has been an issue throughout the year and, was definitely an issue going into next season. So I, I wouldn't say it's a major loss. I wouldn't,
Mhm.
this is the third offensive lineman to leave in the transfer portal, though. So that
Yep.
kind of stings. But you also get Philip Daniels and you get Ethan Unawana and, transferring from Rice there, Daniels from Minnesota. So you're getting
Mhm.
some help.
And probably,
It
and
sounds,
I think we brought in better players too. We brought in better players than
yeah,
we lost.
for sure, for sure. And it does sound like they might be landing another kid here soon.
Mhm.
So it's no big surprise he ended up leaving. It kind of makes sense, like you mentioned. I mean, he was never really going to play just based off of what has already happened. I mean, if he wasn't going to play this year, when would it have been? As far as with how many offensive linemen had gone down, I
Right.
mean, let's be real.
I mean, you
But
have
he,
Ian Moore that's going to be playing. Like it's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and he wasn't the only one that entered the transfer portal. Sam Williams-Dixon, running back, also decided to enter his name in here a few days before the Rose Bowl or before the Cotton
Mhm.
Bowl. Excuse me. What do you make of him deciding to head for greener pastures?
I thought that one hurt. I think he still needs to develop more, but I believe that he was going to be a good running back to have. Um, I would assume the reason he's leaving is because he thinks he can start somewhere, and he probably can next year. Also, I mean, you look at, we bring in a transfer from West Virginia, and then we bring
Yeah,
it.
C.J.
Then
Donaldson.
yeah,
Yep.
same thing as CJ Donaldson. Then I think we all most Buckeyes fans would agree that James Peoples is going to be RB1 next year unless Judkins comes back. Um, and they can bring in Turbo and Bo next season.
Yep.
So I'm sorry, this season. This season's
I
yeah, this
said they're
upcoming
going to be
season. So
freshmen. I mean, well, they'll be freshmen
yeah.
next year, but yeah.
So and I mean there's a few walk on guys there too, but it looks like the running back room has some depth now. But when it comes to Sam William Dixon, I it sucks because I think he's gonna be a really good running back, but I understand it.
It stinks just because of the experience that Ohio State lacks at running back. I mean, they've got those guys coming, like you mentioned Turbo, you mentioned Bo
Donaldson
Jackson.
he's 1,000 yard
Donaldson's
rusher,
got
so
experience. He's by far the most experienced back Ohio State's going to
mhm.
have next year, though.
Yeah.
And now Sam William Dixon's gone, so that leaves basically Donaldson and James Peoples of guys who have gotten carries for Ohio State because I do think Judkins is going to leave after this year.
Me
Makes
too. Me
sense.
too.
Yeah. The only way he doesn't is someone drops an NIL bag, but I still think he's probably gone. The depth certainly doesn't look great, but they have those two freshmen coming in. TC Caffey will come back. He had a knee injury before the season. He's
I
not.
think he might be a scholarship guy by next season.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he's nothing special necessarily. Like he wasn't going to take carries away from someone. He
No.
was just kind of there in like an emergency situation. So, it hurts, but like you mentioned, he probably thinks he can get playing time elsewhere.
Right.
And with the kind of logjam that was starting to pile up there at running back, it's okay that he's gone, especially now that they got Donaldson. I feel a lot better. Had they not had him already on the roster, I'd kind of be freaking out a little bit more.
I agree.
But they've got someone who is able to, show they've got experience. I mean, he's got over 800 rushing yards, double-digit touchdowns in the last couple of years. So that makes things a lot different, and that helps a lot. So they also lost a tight end in the transfer portal, Patrick Gerd. He was the third guy to leave. I did see a lot of Buckeye fans be like, who? That name didn't exactly ring a bell, but he's actually been a fairly productive player. He's been someone who has been in for goal line packages. Like he's played a lot. He's played in 13 games this season. He's a good, solid blocker. Yeah. But he's decided to enter the transfer portal. So what do you think about Gerd leaving?
I'll be honest with you. It doesn't move me. From the times he got in, he blocked well. He wasn't the guy you're going to throw to because that's not the situation you need him in. You brought him in 12 personnel or in the goal line. I'm sure he plays special teams. So, long tenured guy. He does have playing experience. I'm sure there's places he can go and start without question. I don't think there's much we can say about his receiving skills, if not at all. So unless you watch high school tape of him,
yeah.
So
he only had one catch as a Buckeye. So
yeah. So I wish him well.
I do too. Solid blocker in the run game, which is something Ohio State always likes to have. Not shocked he would decide to leave. I mean, like you mentioned, he's not a.
We just brought the number one tight end, dude.
Exactly. That's the thing. You gotta make room for Max Clare. He is the guy who's going to be getting all of the targets.
Jelani's going to play a lot more. He's earned his spot, Jelani.
Yeah. I mean, Jelani, we'll see. I mean, he's had up and down, but they do love his potential. So he, again, just the depth at tight end that all of a sudden Ohio State has now, which is kind of strange. That kind of pushed him out. So I'm not shocked by that by any stretch. And, certainly wish him well moving forward. But those were the three guys who Ohio State ended up losing to the transfer portal, but they also gained some guys. Yesterday, let's just start with Ty Howard. He is the linebacker who Ohio State went ahead and grabbed from Duquesne. He's an all-conference linebacker. And what do you make of him? What do you think of his play? Do you know much about him? What do you think of him?
I like him. I like him. So when I saw the news, I right away looked at his highlight tape. He's athletic. He reads well. He can play in the pass coverage. Like, look, I think you don't go to that division a guy who's going to be a junior unless you believe he can play right away and have some type of impact. Yeah. I think he's a guy who's he could possibly start next season, depending on what happens. Either that or he's gonna be in high rotation. I don't like it's because it's one thing. So when I was watching, it's one thing for him to be that he's athletic, but he reads well and he plays like a D1 linebacker or D1 nickel guy. Like he can. I think he's got it.
He's a good player for sure. I don't think he's going to start next year. I do think he will be in the rotation. It's going to be Sonny, and then it's going to be probably Arvell Reese as the other guy. But I think Howard and honestly Pettyjohn, the true freshman coming in, I think those are kind of the top two guys that'll be in rotation with Cody leaving. Now that Gabe Powers in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely like him. He needs to I mean, it is a huge jump to go from Duquesne to Ohio State. I mean, that's a mass. It's not like he's moving from, the MAC to the Big Ten. He's moving from FCS.
Yeah, he probably would be a really good edge rusher.
Yeah. And I mean, he's a little undersized. He's only 6 foot,
Mm-hmm.
but he's 200 pounds. He can move well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they use him next year.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's necessarily, like I said, a day one starter. But I do think he's someone that is going to play a fair amount next year, and especially because Knowles only uses 2 true linebackers out there at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's just how it's going to be. So with all of this transfer portal news, that's who Ohio State's got. I know there's been some chatter, and I'm sure you've seen it as well, about Damon Wilson possibly transferring to even add further depth to that linebacker spot. For those of you who don't know, Damon Wilson is a linebacker transfer from Georgia. He went ahead and entered the transfer portal as well. Hasn't played a whole lot.
He liked Ohio State when
he liked
Ohio State when high school. Yeah.
He did, but he hasn't played a ton. So that's why he went ahead and entered the portal. I based on what I've seen on social media, I think you like him, but explain more as to why.
He's big, long, and athletic. Now maybe the reason he hasn't gotten a lot of playing time is because he didn't know maybe there's things he needs to work on, whether it be like more consistency, more disciplined at the position, whatever that may be. But I think having him around a guy, like whether he plays like more edge and has to work with Larry or is with the linebackers now and has to work with Laurinaitis, little animal, I think he would be better coached. I think he would become a very good player for us. I think he really would.
If he chose Ohio State, I agree. There's some other schools in the mix there as well, but he has, he didn't play a whole lot as a freshman. This year, he's played a lot more. He had 22 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries as well. He was in the rotation. He wasn't one of their starting guys just because Georgia's got a lot of good starting linebackers. The defense is still pretty darn good, even though they lost to Notre Dame. But he would arguably, I think he would give Arvell Reese a run for his money as far as starting if he did come over, just because, like you said, he's very athletic. He's got good size. He's quick. It would be interesting to see what he could do with Laurinaitis and Knowles coaching him. Again, that would be assuming he chose Ohio State, but that's something that they're going to have to work on. So,
right.
We'll see what happens with that.